Are you ready?
Welcome to JG's Fight Talk, sponsored by Rich's Boxing and Limitless Creations. And with me now, Kevin Cronin. How you doing, Kev?
Good here. How are you?
Really good, mate. Glad you could come on. As I say, my mate Ender, he screams about you.
Yeah, look, it's good to be here. I've seen a few of your interviews and looking forward to it.
Oh, mate, thank you very much. No, it's good to have you on. As I say, 3 fights down already, 3 wins, 2 knockouts. It's going all right.
Yeah, 3 in the bag. It'd be a bit sweeter if it was 3 knockouts, but I won't complain with the rounds.
No. Yeah, that's it, isn't it? Get some experience in as well and take it from there. As I say, you're kind of at the start of your pro career, but if we go right back to the start, where did boxing all begin for you?
Boxing kind of just began really from the very beginning where it began. Boxing for me was my brother when I was younger. He was involved in competitions in amateur boxing. I was very small at the time. Maybe I was 9, 10, 11, something like that. But anyway, he was competing, and I was just I was involved in the trainings, but I wasn't involved in anything like sparring or anything like that. I was more just there messing around, doing a bit of bag work and stuff like that for about 2 years. Just really there while he was training, because our father used to bring my brother in, training for competitions, and I used to always go for the drive, so I just bring a pair of gloves and wraps and used to punch away at the bag. And I kind of got back into it then when I was about 15, 16, and just to lose a bit of weight, and took a couple of fights in just while I was training, just to do it really, to be honest. But kind of got the bite in and started taking it more serious, and started realizing that I was actually good at the sport, and not just realizing, but people telling me that I could have a future in the sport if I just put my head down, and that's what I done. And I'm here now, and look, I never really had any goals in the amateurs like the Olympics or anything. That none of them were for me. I did always like the professional side of boxing. Probably, well, everyone says it, but I probably was more suited to the pro side of boxing anyway. I think it's kind of clear anyway to see after my first 2 fights that I'm more suited to it, because in the amateurs I was, I was kind of a slugger. I like this, just a scrap really in at heavyweight, and but yeah, the pros suit me a lot better. The style of boxing a lot better and smarter in the pros as well, and with my new coaches and everything like that. So yeah, that's it. Really, where it started for me was just punching a bag while my brother was training.
So, are you better than your brother now?
I'd say nothing.
Fair enough. Moving on quick from that one.
He knows who the boss is.
Well, I ain't getting involved, mate. I'm not getting involved. I know what it's like, sibling rivalry, mate. I know what it's like.
Family feud.
My brother's 6'3", and yeah, it absolutely canes me around. So I'm not even going there, mate, because he'll have me after this. But yeah. So who was kind of your influences growing up then in the boxing world? Who did you like to watch?
So yeah, growing up when I was younger, just I love watching Bernard Dunne. It was so I grew up kind of through the Bernard Dunne era, where Bernard Dunne was winning the European title and win the world title, and then unfortunately the Kiko Martinez fight. But that it just went into wars, didn't they? And they were just great to watch. And when you're watching that, there's one or two things you want. You either don't want to be next near the sport, or you want to be all in. And I was just obsessed. And I always said, I'd love it. But I never went and done it, because I don't really know why. I just kind of presumed growing up through 13, 14, just in 2 or 3 years there, I just presumed I wouldn't. I don't know why, but it just wouldn't have been for me, or I wouldn't have been any good at it, And I was just you know what, I was lucky enough that, strange saying it, but I was lucky enough I put on so much weight that I just wanted to go boxing to get rid of it, and brought me here. But yeah, Bernard Dunne would have been a big one, and I used to always watch constantly. I watched again.
Oh, you've frozen a minute, Kev. Oh, I think we've lost Kev for a minute. Hopefully he'll be back in a sec. You still with us,
I can hear. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, mate. I thought you got bored.
Went to sleep. No, yeah. So a big influence for me would have been watching just all the wars Bernard Dunne went through, and watching him come out of Dublin and go on and win world honours, and watching Andy Lee, who from Limerick, which is like 45-minute drive from where I am here in Tralee, like he went on and became middleweight champion of the world. And now as I'm getting better and growing into the sport, and I'm getting better every day. Every training I'm getting better. I just see if someone that's 45 minutes up the road, in a small city, and someone that's a couple of hours up the road in a small city went on to win world honours, and it's just like, why can't I? And as I get better, I get more confident, and I start realizing a bit more, that I can go on and win some major titles.
Yeah, no, 100%, mate. And as you say, it's that small sort of village life, small town life, isn't it? And you do hear those big stories, and why can't you? It's exactly the same as you were saying. Why can't you go and do it? There's no reason, is there?
No, there's not. And you know what? I think it's just a thought in people's head, seeing someone that goes on and do it, and they're thinking, geez, how do you do that? I'd never do that. Why not?
And you
you're not going to be able, if you're telling yourself you can't do it, you're not going to be able to do it,
Well, exactly. You need to be positive, like Clarissa Shields.
Exactly, yeah. Well, not that positive, but positive enough.
But it's just something we said earlier. Yeah. So, where do you sort of see yourself? Obviously, you've got your next fight coming up in June. Your last fight was in March. So,
yeah.
Where are you what is it you're sort of heading for first?
Yeah, but look, so I was out of the ring since 2019 before my last fight. I was very happy with my last fight, actually, how I performed. There was a change of opponent and stuff, so I actually changed up the style of the way I was going to fight about, I think it was 2 weeks out, something like that. But I was meant to be fighting another guy, and it was actually, again, a completely different style, so I kind of had to go to boxing and moving because I was fighting a puncher. He was a fairly big puncher too. So I got behind my boxing. That worked out well for me. But I had a bit of ring rust coming into that fight. So next up, I'm going to probably go, that was my first 6-rounder too. So next up, I'm probably just going to go another 6-rounder, and maybe, and obviously I don't know who I'll be fighting yet, but hopefully a different style, just to fight a different style I haven't fought yet. And so I can, it depends what position I'm put in, how I compete. So I just want to be able to show all the different styles that I can box at as well, because, I do believe that I have so much more to show, and I haven't shown a percentage of what I can do yet, in the ring. So up next, I'm just hoping to get an opponent. I just constantly want opponents, to come and win, not to come and win, but to come to win, because that's when I'll be able to show my levels. Like that guy there a couple of weeks ago, he wasn't there to lose. You could see from the get-go, he even came out with the traps a bit faster than I thought he'd come out with the traps. The first punch he threw, he just lunged in with a big left hook and a right hand, and lucky enough, I was alert and I stood out of the way. But, opponents like that is kind of where I'll be able to show a bit more myself. Because if there's someone there that's just going to put their arms up and let you beat on them, then there's not much you can show from that. So, yeah, look, hopefully get a couple of fights in this year. If I get 2 or 3 fights, a few 6-rounders, maybe get an 8-rounder in, just to move up through the levels. So hopefully I can step up through the gears and start showing a bit more first, and then Yeah, then we'll see where we go from there then. Maybe 2 6-rounders and an 8-rounder. Hopefully, my next outing, someone can take me 6 rounds, and then I'll know where I'm at and about stepping up to an 8-rounder or something like that.
Yes, and then you kind of know where to take your training as well, don't you? Because it's that learning process, isn't it, at the moment, where you just you've got to go through the gears, haven't you, to see where you're at the moment and then where you're going to be heading, I suppose. But is your next fight going to be in Ireland?
We're not certain yet, to be honest. My next fight's definitely going to be in June. I think Dublin might be in there in the mix, but there's no set destination yet. It could be. I hope to God it'll be Dublin, but it could be Europe as well. I think it's a 50-50 now at this stage, to be honest. No one knows for definite yet. Hopefully, I hope to God it's in Ireland, to be honest with you, because it'd be nice for it to be in Ireland, even if it's behind closed doors, and the travel isn't as bad, and for the weigh-ins and everything, and this sport costs enough not to mind adding travel and hotels for the whole team and me in as well.
Yeah, true. Well, you said your fight in March, wasn't it? It was out in Luxembourg. So how did you get on out there, as a country? How was it?
Not like I expected it to be. I thought Luxembourg would be this lovely little country. From what I've seen of it anyway, I don't want to see the place again, to be honest with you. Not the type of place that I like. It was kind of strange from the get-go, the weigh-ins and everything. Of course, we got a late flight in. It was actually the night before, or the day before the fight. So we ended up having to drive like 3 hours down to Luxembourg then. And the night the weigh-in, we got there after traveling all day and traveling up there, and it was pitch black, and it was just the minute I got into the hotel, then they pulled out scales, waiting for me to weigh in. But lucky enough, I had my food and everything bang on, and I hadn't eaten that day, so I came in a nice little weight. It was all just it was a bit strange, a lot of it, and then going behind closed doors to fight. It probably wouldn't have been as bad if it was in a smaller venue or something like that. But it was just in this huge venue, where you'd expect, if there was a crowd there, for it to be packed, would be good. Yeah. But when there's no one there, it was just very, very strange.
Eerie, isn't it? It's a bit eerie.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think having an amateur background stood a lot to a lot of us over there, because we've been very used to going into the likes of big halls, competing against people like that with no crowds.
Yeah. A lot of people have said that during the whole of the sort of lockdown, especially last year, going out. That's why there's been so many shocks as well, because I think people have got so
there's been a lot of upset, and I think a lot of it is because, let's say matchroom fighters with huge followings, most of their fights, there's thousands inside the building, and that's what they're used to from their debut, where you have the journeymen that come to fight them, then they're not there, they're not feeding off a crowd. They're used to being the away fighters, they're used to being booed. So like when they go in to a behind closed doors fight against someone that's used to having the crowd behind them, they're used to not having the crowd behind them. So their situation hasn't changed. If anything, their situation has got better because they're not being booed in the ring, but the situation has completely changed for the home fighter because they don't have that crowd pushing them on. So I think, how would you say, the cream rises, and I think it's where a lot of people kind of get figured out. But then again, I don't know. It's just a strange circumstances, isn't it?
Yes, it's been quality, isn't it, in some ways, because it's brought fights that we never thought we'd see. It's made fights happen that people genuinely wouldn't have taken, and they've stuck two 50-50 fighters together, and they've had to have it out because it was that or you don't fight at all. So it's been good, isn't it, for the sport, really? Yeah,
but you know what? I'll tell you what. I even my manager said it. That it was a bit straight. He said in this video we were doing before. It's on YouTube, but anyway, he was saying it was kind of strange on my debut how I didn't show any nerves. And I'd say out straight, like I was nervous that day, but even at the you know, in the dressing room and everything, I just didn't get nervous. I don't know what it was. I didn't know was it a good or a bad thing, but I just wasn't nervous. And like, there was a huge crowd out in my debut and everything. But God almighty, lads, this is how my head goes. I don't even know what we're on about. I'm just here talking about my debut and I don't know what I was going saying or what we're on about. Oh, I do, yeah. It's back to me. It's boxing for you. I boxed at heavyweight for a while.
Oh,
but anyway,
don't start all that. You're at the start of your career, mate. You can't be coming out with stuff like that.
No, but anyway, like I wasn't nervous then. I wasn't nervous in London in my second fight when there was a crowd there. But I was actually a little bit more nervous over in Luxembourg, where I didn't think I'd be. I thought I'd be a bit more relaxed because it was like the amateurs. But you know what? When I was putting on my wraps and putting on my gloves and shorts, you could, even though I was in the dressing room, it was so quiet out there, the fights before you could hear the punches landing in the dressing room, you know, you could hear the slaps, you could hear the thuds, you know, and you could hear even people, you know, whinging from getting a body shot or something like that. So, you know, and you can hear people warming up on the pads and everything. So, you know, it makes it was a bit a weird situation. Like it added a bit more nerves to me than it would hearing a crowd going mad outside. You know, I'd rather hear the crowd going mad, you know, than hear someone banging the pads that I'm going fighting, you know, next door. Even though, like, you know, I was banging the pads too, and they were thinking the same thing. It's a mental thing, like, you know. But it was it added a bit of nerves to the fight, I think.
Yeah, well, on top of that, you know. You talk about nerves, but you're a firefighter as well. You know, surely that's got to be quite a big part to your mindset as well, because you know, situations you have to go in, you know, on a daily basis as well. That must help with a mindset.
Yeah, well, look, I can't say much, Joe. I'm only in there a year. It's actually my first fight since I've even been in the fire service. That was my first fight in March since I joined the fire service. I don't know. I never really thought of it that way, to be honest with you. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe someday I'd say, Joe, I got into a situation, I'd say, oh, Joe, that actually helped there. But I haven't thought about it yet, to be honest. And I don't know. I think I've always kind of had a positive way in thinking anyway, going into situations. So it's kind of something that's always been with me anyway.
I'll interview you in about 5 years and I'll ask you the same thing.
Yeah.
See if it has or not. You know, I don't know. But no, yeah, as you know, talking about the fights, there's obviously big fights coming up. There's obviously a particular fight that's still being teased to us at the moment with AJ Fury.
Yeah.
How do you see that one going?
I think, look, everyone has their own opinion, but I think Tyson Fury would. I think he'd be a bit much for Anthony Joshua, to be honest. And I like Anthony Joshua. I think he's a very good boxer too. But he could knock, you know, Tyson Fury out. But I think unless he knocks Tyson, if he doesn't knock Tyson Fury out, he's not going to win. And going after Tyson Fury's last fight since he joined Crank Gym as well, you know, where he was coming forward and putting pressure on the fighter, and you know, he's a big unit to be coming forward at you. I think it'd all be a bit much for Anthony Joshua, to be honest. I think the loss would stand to Anthony Joshua in the pressure to be coming at him in the fight. But I just think Tyson Fury would be just that bit too much for him.
Yeah, I think like I've been saying to other people, it's one of those, isn't it, where each week it can change because you see a picture or you see a video, or you know, you base it on Fury's last fight with Wilder, and that he just came forward and absolutely annihilated him. And then you look at Anthony Joshua's last performance against Pulev was more a box performance. It was a more complete performance. So they both bring stuff to the table. It's how they approach it, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And you know what? At the same time, it's heavyweight boxing. Yeah. One punch, and that's it. You know, one punch is going to change a fight. So the thing about Fury is we've seen him get dropped so many times. But every time he's been dropped, he's got up on solid legs. You know, he hasn't got up on wobbly legs or wavy legs. You know, he'll be mature as well. You know, if he does get caught with a big punch, and even if he gets put down, he has the experience. You know, he's been there. I think he'll know what he's meant to do when it happens, if it happens. But yeah, look, you could talk all night and you could bring up points all night, and it'd favour each fighter. But I think Tyson Fury will win it.
I don't think you could talk about it all night, Kev, because you look knackered, mate.
The sun is draining me.
But no, honestly, it's been a pleasure having you on, mate. And hopefully we get to hear some news on your fight in June soon. And yeah, we can have some confirmed dates and where it's going to be. Hopefully not Luxembourg, but
hopefully.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I think you'd fight anywhere, wouldn't you, mate? It's just to get those fights in again.
Yeah, well, I think my management knows well. I don't think any of us are too fond of going back to Luxembourg, so I don't think that's where they'll be looking.
You never know, mate. You never know what's around the corner. But
I know, yeah.
Honestly, thanks for coming on, mate. I really appreciate your time. And yeah, hopefully we get some fight news soon and we can get you back on and have a chat about it.
100%. Yeah. Look, thanks for having me.
No problem at all, mate. And you take care.
Cheers.
Thanks,
Bye.
Kev. Bye. Kevin Cronin, 3 fights, 3 wins, 2 knockouts, and he wasn't even happy that he didn't get 3 knockouts. Last fight out was in Luxembourg, where it was all a bit of a rush, but he got the job done, and that's all that matters. So he's got his next fight in June. Not sure of the date yet, but really looking forward to seeing him get back out again. A real great prospect in Ireland, and hopefully, yeah, he can show us what he's made of. We get to see what the hype's all about. He's a great fighter, as he says. He's kind of working. He wants to show that other percentage of his game, and yeah, we're all looking forward to it. So wish him all the best for the future, and hopefully we'll get him on again soon, and probably get Ender on with him as well. He'd be well happy. So you've been watching JG's Fight Talk, sponsored by Rich's Boxing and Limitless Creations. And yeah, if you like what you've seen, hit the subscribe button, check out the rest of the content, and I'll see you all soon. Thank you.